Hey there, Aries. Welcome to your reading for the week of September 15th. You have this research card. It says, before you make your next move, it's important to do some exploratory research so you know all the possible paths you can take. You have this dependent card. It says you can't fully come into your power if you rely on others for financial support. So Aries, we're going to see what's going on for you. I do feel that it is an excellent time for research. You have the Justice card here. The interesting thing about the Justice card is that sometimes it says that we have to pay attention to the evidence. And, definitely right now with Pluto and Aquarius, there's also something about it that kind of says we have to pay attention to the evidence and we have to make sure we know that what we're doing is actually worth it or not. So a lot of you could be kind of like deciding that stuff, about pretty much everything that you are doing. So I definitely feel that. Could be a little bit of surprise love here, Aries, actually. I wouldn't worry too much about the Tower because you have King of Cups, the Queen of Wands, the Tower, and that could just be a surprise. Not only that, you also have the Tower and Judgment. Tower and Judgment is like a major revelation or a major wake-up call. And there could be some sort of like light bulb moment for you this week with this energy here with the Tower and the Judgment card. So, we will look into this for sure. You have the Justice card, the Two of Swords, and the King of Cups. Again, justice is cause and effect. It's like if I put energy into something, what do I get out of it? And I do feel it would be a good time. Sorry, I feel like I'm like off center here, but anyway, it would be a good time for you to look at both sides of, pretty much everything that you're dealing with. It could be very beneficial for you. Also kind of creating more balance in the things that you do. Really with I'm going to skip forward here to the Two of Swords because I kind of feel this is a little bit more important. With that Justice card, Two of Swords is thinking this or that, but really there's like a third option behind you on this island here. So the Two of Swords can say that there are better options to do things that you want to do in life, or there's better directions for you to move in, but you have to discover those things. The thing about the Justice card is it is about needing to trust your intuition. I will say that having Neptune retrograde out of your sign, which will happen next month actually, it's retrograde in your sign right now. But next month, it will enter back into Pisces. But even right now, with Neptune retrograde, you could be feeling a lack of clarity, or you might not be feeling as clear intuitively. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Again, Two of Swords just says you have to, tap into your intuition, or you have to do things to be more tapped into your intuition. So I think as long as you take time to, listen to your inner voice or, do things to tap into your intuition, then things could go much better for you with the Two of Swords. We are kind of like in an inspired time. We are in a time where I think we have to listen to our inspirations, listen to the messages we're receiving and things like that. And that's basically what I would do here with the Two of Swords is like, listen more to your inner voice. Next, you have the King of Cups. King of Cups is about your deep emotions, and the King of Cups is sitting in the middle of the ocean, and so he has, the whole point of the card is that he has explored how he feels about things to a very deep level, or on a very deep level, and that's exactly what I would do with the King of Cups is tap into your emotions, see how you feel about things that are going on in your life, and, kind of tap into those feelings. The other thing is he's sitting in the middle of these choppy waters, but he is perfectly fine. A lot of people have been getting these messages lately that, we could be experiencing choppy waters in our lives. But number one is it might just be a feeling. It might not be real. And I think that's really what people have to pay attention to. But it's like we shouldn't also, I don't think we should worry, right? But I also don't think we should ignore things. Like, what the hell am I talking about, right? I feel that there could be some things where it's like, or places maybe in our lives where the universe is trying to say like, hey, what you've been doing isn't working, or something in your life isn't working, and now it's time to like start making the change. But at the same time, it could feel like you're losing something. That could be the fear or the worry with the King of Cups. But really, you're not really going to lose it like, today, So, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but imagine if you have a job and you feel like that something is going on, like you're going to lose it. You might be really feeling that pressure. You might be really feeling the pressure that you are going to lose it or something. But what I would say is Probably not right this second, but, maybe the universe is trying to say, like, hey, you should probably, you feel this for a reason, so you should probably start, looking for something else, right? And that's what I would do with this card. I do also feel there could absolutely be like a surprise love connection. We go up here to the Tower, Lovers, Judgment. You do have the Three of Swords here, but, everybody's had the Three of Swords, not only this week, but also in the eclipse readings that I just did. And so, you know what I mean? It's like, I think we're kind of like in a time of healing our heart, and a lot of people could be doing that. This could be asking you to heal your heart so that you can attract love into your life as well. With the Justice card, you have the Five of Wands. Yeah, I mean, we're in a time of conflict and competition, but again, Five of Wands has a very easy solution. Five of Wands, we just have to study the competition. We don't have to necessarily fight with the competition, and that's kind of like the trick with this card, is to not necessarily don't look at the competition like work or business or love or whatever as something that you have to fight against. It's more about looking at it and saying, how can I be better, or how can I stand out more, right? And there's amazing energy for, I believe, everyone. I talk about this all the time, that there's like amazing energy to stand out, but we have to stand out for good reasons, and that's what I would do there. With the Two of Swords, you have the Fool. I mean, you are being led to take a leap of faith. I've said this to people this week that there's something about Neptune this week. I don't like it. Might be I don't know, because I didn't actually forgot to look, but I don't know if it's hitting a critical degree this week or what. But there's something about that energy. Neptune retrograde, it like can dissolve things. It can. It dissolves illusions. It can dissolve things that we've been holding on to that we no longer need, and all that other stuff, right? And so it seems to me like this week is important for you, Aries. It's like, yeah, sure, something could feel like it's dissolving, but again, I feel like I need to say that you should not be putting too much pressure on yourself. Because something like a job or, something like that could feel like it is dissolving, or maybe the structure underneath it is dissolving. And it's like, that might be true, but also, I want to stress, like, there's no need to worry. But there is a need for, kind of like a little bit of action. So if you feel that way, then, I would definitely, like, don't sit around and wait, right? I would do those things that you think you need to do. With the King of Cups, you have the Five of Swords. Yeah, Five of Swords, like separation, walking away from things. Again, very in between eclipse energy. This week, the week of the 15th, at the end of the week, we have the Virgo eclipse. So I wouldn't be surprised if something is being eclipsed out of your life. I've been saying this for the past couple weeks as well, that I feel we should be careful with our emotions, as in we should be nurturing ourselves, taking care of ourselves, all that other stuff, like, that I have been saying for weeks, no road rage, for example, because I just feel like there's just too much of a, like, inflammatory energy in the astrology, and, it's just something I would pay attention to with that card. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have the Power of Purpose card and the Smoke and Mirrors card. There you go. It's like, the Smoke and Mirrors could be what's dissolving, which is a good thing, because it could be aligning you with purpose with the Judgment card. It's kind of funny because the Tower is like smoke and mirrors in some way. Those people in the Tower have been up in the top of the Tower. They've been ignoring reality. They are buying an illusion, basically. And the whole point of the Tower is they're being brought back down to reality. So, a lot of you, it's like you could be breaking some sort of illusion this week. And again, I don't know, there's something about this Neptune energy that I think could be doing this for a lot of people. I do feel it's a good thing, in some ways. I like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I do feel there's a little bit of worry that people could be feeling about this, some sort of illusion breaking. And again, I do feel it's personal, like, your job, or, something that you thought was secure maybe isn't as secure as you want it to be. But is this a bad thing? No, because it's being pointed out so you can fix it. And that's exactly what I would be doing. I also feel some of you, Judgment is your purpose. So you could be discovering a purpose. You have the Knight of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, and the Five of Swords. Knight of Pentacles is like straightforward, diligent work. He is just, making progress, hopefully. That's what he's trying to do. And he can represent progress. The funny thing is, normally I don't really like this card because he's moving too slowly. He's actually not moving at all on the Knight of Pentacles. But intuitively, I feel pretty good for you, Aries. Like, I do feel like you're making progress, whether you feel like it or not. And so I would keep going with something for sure. If you're working on anything new, if you're putting the work into any projects or ideas or, any of that stuff, I would, keep doing what you're doing with the Knight of Pentacles. You have the Queen of Wands. Yeah, I feel someone finds you attractive. I think this came up for you last week, Aries, if I'm not mistaken, that, you could be attracting a person and, it just seems like a new person to me. I feel like both people are going through big changes. And, sometimes people ask me, like, how will I know who this person is? And that's how I think you will know who this person is, Tower. Really, but again, the Tower doesn't have to be a bad thing. But you probably, if you're, let's say you're dating, meeting people, things like that, I think you will notice that it's a person who is going through, a significant change in their life. So, I don't know, you could be meeting a person who just moved. You could be, meeting a person who's changing careers or, something like that. So it's definitely popping into my head. Now, the Queen of Wands says we have to kind of march to the beat of our own drum. She is the card of learning as you go. And she's the one where, she just desires to do something in her life. And so she goes and does it. And, I feel it would be a good time for you also to, like, follow your desires with the Queen of Wands. It's definitely a good time to, like, be bold, be assertive, go for what you want with this energy, and that's exactly what I would do. You have the Five of Swords again, right next to the Five of Swords. So the Five of Swords can also represent taking a risk. We're kind of, I talk about this a lot. We are kind of in a time where we could be taking a risk, or we could take, we could be being asked to take some sort of risk. And, I do think it is a good week for that. I will say I would be careful of any X's and things like that here, Aries. Five of Swords, we have the Three of Swords, and Judgment. Judgment is one of the only cards in the tarot I do consider to be like an X coming back, but, it's not, doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing, right? And so I would be careful of any X's. And again, this set of eclipses, for whatever reason, this has come up for a lot of people. So it, could be one of those eclipses that kind of brings back an illusion from the past. With the Knight of Pentacles, you have the Temperance card. Temperance is about patience, and Temperance is a card of alchemy. There you go. I don't even know how that happens sometimes. Oh, it's my brother. That's why. Okay. I was going to say, I always have put my phone on silent when I do these readings, but my brother can get through. That's it. But anyway, the Temperance card, what I was going to say is that it's about kind of like just going for something. He's trying to make his situation here perfect, and he could easily step off on this path. This is called the path to glory. And, he could easily go get that crown, but he's not doing it. I think one other thing that I think, I say I think because I don't actually know if this is true or not, but I'm just going to put it out there. Sometimes I think with Neptune retrograde, that it's almost like we are looking for inspiration. Neptune is creation, creativity. It is imagination. It is dreaminess. It is intuition, things like that, right? So I think we can sometimes look for inspiration when Neptune is retrograde, and Neptune alone sometimes, like when we have critical Neptune placements, says that we shouldn't take action that is uninspired. So, there's a little bit of truth to that. But the other problem is that with Neptune, usually we have to get started on something to get the inspiration. But it's like, I also think the Neptune retrograde makes us wait, makes us kind of like think that we need to wait for an inspiration, if that makes sense. But really, we have to go and find inspiration. And I feel that could be what this card is saying. It's like saying, you're waiting to get started on something, but it's like really the important inspirations will come from the journey, will come from the path that you go down. And, I feel that some of you need to hear that. With the Queen of Wands, you have the Page of Wands. Yep, a very adventurous time. So I think we all should be going on adventures. We should all be out there following our inspirations, like I said. I think we should be kind of doing things that we enjoy. The Page of Wands just follows his optimism. And he might not really have a good reason for doing the things that he does, other than he's excited. But sometimes that's a good thing. With the Five of Swords, you have the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune can be a change in your fortunes, which is good. And, it's also a good card of, like, paying attention to things that change your fortunes. So I would pay attention to that. It's also one of the only cards in the tarot that I consider an X coming back as well. So you basically have two of them right here. So I would be careful of a return. It doesn't even have to be an X. This could be something returning that you have healed from, that, and it could be something you need to let go of. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this diversity card and this changes card. Definitely changes, significant changes coming in for you here, Aries, with the Tower and the Judgment card. I would say these are good changes. Again, the Tower with the Judgment card I consider to be a major revelation, like a light bulb moment. And we are kind of in the time of the light bulb moment in a lot of ways. We have Uranus in Gemini. Uranus in Gemini is electric. It is those electric downloads, those electric ideas that we get. So I would be paying attention to this right here, the lightning bolt at the top of the tower, right? And the crown is falling off the tower. But the whole point of this is that the lightning bolt sitting at the top of the tower, knocking the crown off. It's like, basically something that we've believed for a long time could be changing. And a lot of you could be, just going through changes, waking up to new ideas or new realities. I do feel good about it though, Aries. Again, I'm not sure, I'm not going to sugarcoat the tower and say it's great, but, I think the tower gets a bad rap in the tarot. And the tower is very necessary in life. We have to go through these changes. And, again, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. And really, how is it a bad thing that these people are coming down to reality? They're seeing things for how they actually are. And that's what I'd pay attention to there. You have the Lovers, so definitely could be love coming in for you here if you are looking for love. I feel it could be a little bit of a surprise here for some reason. I'm not saying it's, a mystery or anything like that, but, you could just meet this person through surprising circumstances. I also think that you could be meeting this person when you are going through a change, a significant change. So if you're going, if you're moving, changing careers, doing any of those things, that could be the thing that brings a person in. Next, you have the Three of Swords and the Judgment card. I would be careful, if you don't want to hear from a past person, maybe if you know that it would upset you, that you heard from a person, maybe you want to block them. This can represent kind of an apology, though. So, some of you definitely could be receiving an apology this week. For others, I kind of feel this is saying it's time to heal. It's like time to move past the healing. I'm not suggesting, that anyone rushes a healing or anything like that, right? That's not what I'm saying. But the Judgment card, these people are standing in these coffins here, and the coffin represents their old life. Outside the coffin is their new life. So it could say that, a healing needs to come to a conclusion so that you can step into your new life, or so that you can step into your purpose with that Power of Purpose card. And I feel that's what that card is encouraging you to do. With the Tower, you have the Four of Wands. Like I said, this could be a good surprise here, Aries. This could be a person telling you they love you, a person telling you they want to commit to you, or, anything like that. And it's coming up in a future position here, so it might not happen today, but, definitely in the near future, that could be someone who wants to commit. And you have the Four of Wands at the end as well. The Four of Wands is also a card of freedom. I do feel the universe is trying to set us all free. I mean, we'll have Uranus retrograding back into Taurus. Uranus in Taurus is freedom. So, Uranus in Taurus wants us to do things that set us free from anything that we feel like we are stuck and bound to. So a lot of us, I think, are being pointed towards, things that could be holding us back or preventing our success or whatever you want to call it. And the Four of Wands is about finishing something, crossing a finish line so that you can celebrate on the other side. And so there's definitely something that needs to be finished here, or a finish line that you could be crossing. With the Lovers, you have the Three of Wands. Could also be a connection that expands your worldview as well. Three of Wands is very expansive. But as far as love is concerned, it can say that, like I said, it could be a person who's moving, or maybe you're moving, and that's the thing that's bringing love into your life, or something else. I do feel like a very expansive thing here. Again, I feel there could be a light bulb moment that really expands your worldview as well, that is not connected to love. I feel kind of like both, but, for a lot of you with that Tower and Judgment, I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised if you have some sort of light bulb moment that expands your life. And, I would really be paying attention to those ideas, Aries, because you never know what it could lead to. It could lead to a lot of success, growth, abundance, good things. With the Judgment card, you have the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is about your resources and increasing your resources and being resourceful. So I would definitely do that. Also, the Queen of Pentacles sometimes I say is a card of multiplication. She has this rabbit right here, and the rabbit can represent fears, anxiety, abundance, fertility, but, it can also represent multiplication. Rabbits multiply quickly. And you have the Justice card, you have the Wheel of Fortune. Both of these cards represent doubling down on the good stuff, basically multiplying the goodness in your life and finding a way to do that. So it might be a good time for you to do to double down on the good stuff, right? Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this classroom card. It says self-evaluation, growth, and performance. You have this water card. It says adaptability, grace, power, and change. You have all these change cards popping up here, so definitely could be a significant change coming in for you, and growth, right? Which we talked about all those things. The tower brings growth. I always say, I used to make the joke that if we didn't have tower moments, we would all still be wearing diapers. So, I don't know. I stopped wearing diapers a long time ago. I don't know about you, but, again, I don't want to do that again. So I think that it's a good time to grow. And again, there could be something that is causing growth here, clearly. You show up here, Aries, which is great. Whenever you show up as yourself, it puts you in a position of power and strength. But, definitely in the good stuff, it's even better. Kind of says that you're really shown up in a strong position. The Emperor has this Ankh right here. The Ankh is a symbol of rebirth as well. So, we have a ton of, rebirth stuff going on for you here, Aries. This is a, very powerful reading. So I feel that there's a lot of personal change going on for you. You have the Four Wands, which again could be marriage. There definitely could be some sort of commitment coming in for you here, Aries, in love, if you want it. I feel this is two people who have, it's kind of weird because I get this feeling on the tower that it's like two people who have seen something. Like, I don't even know what the hell that means, but it's almost like two people who have woken up, to reality, or have woken up to something. So again, you could be meeting up with a person who's like, kind of woken up spiritually recently, or who has become more spiritual, or something like that, It could also be like, sometimes I do think we meet people who kind of like guide us on our path. And, this could be like a mentor. It doesn't even have to be love is what I'm trying to get at here. But I do get that feeling, I feel we have guides in life that we meet, like people here on earth. Like, I think we have spiritual guides, but I also feel we have people here that kind of are meant to push us in a direction. And I kind of feel that for you, Aries. Like, some of you could be meeting a person. I think you will love them, but, not necessarily in a romantic sense. It could be more of a friendship sense or whatever. But, it could be a guide who's, like, pushing you forward or guiding you. You have the Five of Cups. Five of Cups in the good stuff would be gratitude. The solution to the card is that he needs to be grateful for what he has. But coming up in the good stuff, it would say you are being grateful, and so you are probably, getting better things. With the Emperor, you have the Chariot. Yeah, victory. A lot of Chariot energy this week as well. I literally just did a reading with Devin Dewar on her channel yesterday, and a bunch of people got the Chariot, I'm pretty sure. So, a lot of Chariot energy this week, and, this could be some sort of victory or success coming in for you. The Chariot is also another card of moving. A lot of moving stuff here. Again, I've said it to you before. Doesn't really surprise me. Cancer and, Jupiter and Cancer definitely could be causing you to, experience some movement or moving. With the Four Wands, you have the Page of Swords. I also wouldn't be surprised if someone tells you that they are interested in you. You might be, the Page of Swords is like, sometimes people say it's like spying or something like that, right? But you might find out that a person that you are, kind of the feeling I get here, Aries, is that you are interested in a person. You might be surprised that they would be interested in you. So I would go for it. Love looks really good in this reading. With the Five of Cups, you have the Seven of Wands. This is a never again energy, right? So what am I talking about? Sometimes I feel something happens in life where we say never again. And that is the feeling I get here, Aries. I don't know. It's a very much there's like a certain level of confidence that I feel off of that Seven of Wands, like in a good way, where you are changing your life and saying, I'm never going back to the old Aries again. So the Seven of Wands is like locking in the changes you need to make sure that something never happens again, whatever it is. You have this Bear card. It says danger, especially in money matters. I think everybody should pay attention to money until like, I don't know, 2033 or something. Your money will be changing at the end of this year. I've been talking about this since 2016. Neptune and Pisces. Neptune is like, again, on its way back into Pisces. Neptune rules and Pisces rule anything that flows, right? So we call it currency for a reason. And I wouldn't be paranoid about this. I would just, make sure you're not wasting money. You have this fan card. It says romance, celebration, party. Yes, definitely there is clearly a lot of romance here. You could meet them at a party. I would encourage you to socialize if you are looking for love. You have this chair empty. It says someone is leaving your life. Yeah, I mean, you have the Five of Swords twice, Three of Swords, Judgment. this could be like an apology, but this could be you burying the hatchet, so to speak, which actually I said in yesterday's reading with Devin Dewar. Again, go check that out on her channel. But I said something about people burying the hatchet, so definitely could be an apology. You have this marriage card, so yes, we see 900 cards of marriage here. There you go. You have the staff card. It says you will be taken care of in difficult times. Yes, King of Cups, right? He is in choppy waters, but he's not worried about what's going on. So you are perfectly fine here, Aries, is what I would say to you. But this looks pretty interesting, pretty straightforward stuff. So which I like. I actually, even though you have the tower here, I wouldn't even worry about it. I think this is a light bulb moment. Still pretty straightforward. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.